For 250 years, no foreign army has successfully conquered the United States. This singular fact is not an accident of history, nor is it merely the product of military might. The British tried during the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812, ultimately failing to hold the fledgling nation. Japan struck Hawaii in 1941, only to lose an empire. Every subsequent global power has examined the same map and arrived at the same grim conclusion. A full scale invasion of the American mainland is not merely a risky military campaign, it is a form of national suicide. Yet the hypothetical persists. What if everything collapsed? What if the global order fractured and America had to survive on its own, not as a superpower projecting force abroad, but as a battlefield defending its hearth? Could the United States survive a full scale invasion in reality, not just on screens or in simulations? The answer, rooted in geography, demographics, technology, and history, is a resounding yes, but the nature of that survival reveals a deeper, more unsettling truth about the only force that could ever truly conquer the nation. Historical precedents, the few who tried. While the mainland has never been conquered, it has been breached. These rare incursions offer a glimpse of what invasion looks like and why it fails. In 1814, during a broader war with Napoleonic France, the British executed a daring raid on Washington, D.C. They burned the White House and the Capitol, forcing the president to flee. It remains the only time a foreign power has held the American capital. Yet this was a punitive raid, not an occupation. The British withdrew, unable to capitalize on the psychological victory. Over a century later, in 1916, Panchovia's irregular forces raided Columbus, New Mexico, killing American civilians before vanishing back across the Mexican border. Finally, in 1942, Japan seized two small, frozen islands in Alaska's Aleutian chain. When the U.S. military finally retook them, the brutal Arctic terrain killed nearly as many soldiers as the enemy did. These episodes, a raid, a guerrilla strike, and a frozen foothold, constitute the sum total of successful military landings on American soil. No one has ever conquered the mainland because the endeavor is a logistical and geographical nightmare. The Great Moat, two oceans as walls. Before any invasion force can even dream of capturing a city, it must first cross the planet's most formidable barriers, the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. These are not just bodies of water, they are moving walls of storms, unpredictable currents, and vast emptiness. The Pacific alone stretches 5,000 miles from Asia to the West Coast. Adolf Hitler, who dominated continental Europe, never seriously considered transatlantic invasion. Japan, a formidable naval power, limited its ambitions to a preemptive strike on Hawaii. World War II provides the definitive case study in reverse. When the United States attempted the opposite, invading across the Pacific toward Japan, it required 3 years, tens of thousands of ships, and entire floating cities dedicated to fuel and supply. That was against isolated island garrisons. An invasion of the massive, defended mainland would be exponentially harder. The math remains prohibitive. A single modern aircraft carrier strike group consumes millions of gallons of fuel per week. The 2 week crossing would leave a massive fleet exposed to satellites, submarines, and long range bombers. The oceans are not just moats, they are kill zones. The geology of war, a continent that fights back. Assume, for the sake of argument, that an enemy fleet survives the crossing and reaches the Pacific Northwest. They would expect beaches. Instead, they would find cliffs. The Olympic Peninsula rises almost sheer from the sea, offering no flat landing zones. The coastline itself is a combatant, sharp rocks, hidden coves, and shifting sandbars that have earned this region the grim nickname Graveyard of the Pacific. Over 2,000 ships have vanished along this shore, nearly one for every 3 miles of coastline. The Columbia River bar is so treacherous that pilots require a special license to cross it, and vessels are still lost. Beyond the beaches waits the coastal range, low enough to be deceptive, but close enough to the ocean to trap clouds, rain, and the hopes of any logistics officer. Some locations receive 12 feet of rainfall annually. Before invaders ever see an American city, they would be fighting mud, hypothermia, and gravity. This pattern repeats across the continent. The Rockies slice the West in half. The Mississippi River floods its vast plains. The Appalachians tangle the East into endless ridges and hollows. Each barrier splits invading armies, burns irreplaceable fuel, and exposes convoys to attack. The Great Plains look flat and inviting, but they offer zero cover from drones or jet aircraft. The southwestern deserts kill engines with heat and grit. The northern winters shatter them with ice. Nature does not merely slow an invader in America, it starves them. The Second Army, 330 million armed individuals. Even if an enemy force somehow breaches the beaches, crosses the mountains, and navigates the plains, they would confront the most unpredictable variable of all, the American people. The United States has more firearms than people, approximately 390 million firearms for 330 million citizens. That statistic translates to 120 guns for every 100 residents. This is not merely a trivia point, it is a military reality. An invader would face not one army, but over 50 million potential militias. From the woods of Maine to the deserts of Montana, from the suburbs of Texas to the wilderness of Alaska, every home could become a fortified stronghold. There are over 15 million licensed hunters in the U.S., a force larger than the active duty militaries of most nations. The Japanese Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, whether he actually said it or not, encapsulated a profound truth. You cannot invade the mainland United States. There would be a rifle behind every blade of grass. Consider Afghanistan, a nation with a few 100,000 rifles and no industrial base, which bled two consecutive superpowers dry over 2 decades. America would fight with hundreds of millions of firearms, a domestic ammunition industry, and a population intimately familiar with its own terrain. The invasion would not conclude with the capture of a capital. It would devolve into the largest, most relentless guerrilla war in human history. The all-seeing eye, technology as a shield. The argument that an enemy could achieve strategic surprise is also obsolete. Secrecy died with the space age. A constellation of military and commercial satellites now track every significant ship, aircraft, and even thermal signature on the planet. During the Gulf War in 1991, American satellites spotted Iraqi tanks hiding under camouflage nets in the featureless desert. Today, orbital sensors can read license plates. A fleet attempting to mass in the Pacific would appear as a glowing trail of metal, detected weeks before its departure. Upon detection, the response would be overwhelming. The U.S. Navy sails 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. The rest of the world combined possesses fewer than half that number. Each carrier group is a mobile, sovereign airfield surrounded by hunter-killer submarines and Aegis destroyers. The Air Force can strike any target on Earth within hours using stealth bombers and long-range missiles. An enemy fleet would be met by cruise missiles and attack aircraft long before it reached the Hawaiian Sen. The new frontier, digital warfare and internal collapse. Recognizing the impossibility of a conventional assault, potential adversaries have shifted strategies. The modern invasion of America is more likely to begin not with a landing craft, but with a code. Cyber attacks targeting the electrical grid, the financial system, GPS satellites, and air traffic control could, in a coordinated assault, hurl the nation back into a pre-industrial reality. A single high-altitude electromagnetic pulse, EMP, could stall cars, ground airplanes, and silence cities. Then comes disinformation, a weaponized fog of fake news, algorithmic outrage, and synthetic enemies designed to turn neighbors against neighbors, paralyzing the national response from within. Dividing 330 million minds is proving far easier than crossing 5,000 miles of ocean. Yet, even this digital siege has limits. Should it fail, the only remaining option is doomsday, biological weapons, engineered viruses, or nuclear fire. But these are not tools of conquest. They are instruments of mutual extinction. The United States maintains a second strike arsenal capable of obliterating any attacker. If the American mainland burns, so too does the aggressor's homeland. There is no victory in that scenario, only a shared grave. The only true invader is within. Russia cannot hold Ukraine. China has not fought a major war since 1979. Meanwhile, the United States has been in near continuous combat for a century, refining every aspect of logistics, technology, and command. Every state has a National Guard unit that intimately knows every bridge, back road, and water source within its borders. Even if a foreign power managed to land troops, reinforcements would fly in from Guam, Japan, and Germany within days. The stark truth is that the United States is, for all practical purposes, unconquerable by external force. The oceans defend it, the geology protects it, the population arms it, technology guards it. The only force in history capable of dismantling the American Republic is America itself. Abraham Lincoln warned of this in his first inaugural address. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. The real invasion is not conducted by fleets or tanks, but by arguments, algorithms, and echo chambers, by civil war of the soul, not war of the soil. So, could a foreign power invade the United States? They could try. A city might burn, a port might fall, but conquer the whole country? Never. The only successful invasion would be one that never fires a shot, one that convinces Americans to surrender their own republic from within. And that is the one battle no missile can win.